This poster is titled Making AT Solutions Using Instamorph, made by Therese Wilcom, PhD, ATP. The first image is a page from the book titled Make Stuff and Love People, Assistive Technology Solutions in Minutes, Book 3. And the title of this page is Snapping and Holding Jig. It has 4 pictures on this page showing 4 examples of solutions made with Instamorph. The first one shows the ratcheting PVC cutter on top of a table slid into a jig to hold the cutter upright, and it has a QR code that talks about that with a video to that. The second one shows the person pinching and holding a nut to screw into the a bolt that's sticking up on a 3-inch by 3-inch mounting square. There is a QR code that leads to a how-to video. The next image shows a gentleman with the one-handed bag tying jig that slides over a silverware drawer using a spring clip that holds the Instamorph at the correct angle. The next one shows an image of a person holding the jig, the nut jig made out of Instamorph. The next one shows a hot pot, a ceramic mug, a tub of Instamorph, a spoon, and a snapping jig that's made out of Instamorph. And the last image on that page is a 3/4 inch lock line elbow that is inserted halfway into a jig made out of Instamorph. The next image is someone holding an adapted toothbrush, and the toothbrush has an extender off the end of it made with Instamorph. There's a 17-inch industrial twist tie wrapped around that extender and then inserted into a 6-inch piece of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. And the next image shows the person sitting backwards holding on to the toothbrush adapter that is secured to their hand using a 17-inch industrial twist tie, and it says toothbrush extender using Instamorph. The next image shows an adapted cup holder that is shaped around the left side of a joystick on a power wheelchair using Instamorph. And there is a second cup slid into this cup holder with a straw extending outward. This shows an adapted cup with a little hook that comes around the handle and around the person's hand, and it says adapted cup using Instamorph for an individual who experiences arthrogryposis. The next image is an adapted cane tip that can be made using Instamorph, and it can be dipped into boiling water or removed once you find a permanent replacement. The next image is a gentleman sitting in a power wheelchair, and there is a Labrador dog that is eating a treat out of a treat dispenser that extends on his wheelchair vertically coming downward about 12 inches. There's a cup that's made out of Instamorph that the treat drops down into, and the dog can easily get the treat from the treat dispenser. The title says Custom Hands-Free Gravity-Fed Dog Treat Dispenser for Service Dogs. The person is using a mouse stick to push the treat down through a tube so that the treat, when it lands into the Instamorph cup, it's at the correct position for the dog to easily reach and access the treat. This image shows how Instamorph has been used to fill in the cavity of 3/4 inch piece of 1/2 inch CPVC pipe. Then there's a pen that is put into a 1-inch clothespin that is then inserted into the instamorph. There's a second stylus that the stylus is about a 2-inch stylus that is secured to a large paper clip using instamorph, and the paper clip is slid into the 3/4-inch receptacle with instamorph. And then the last one is a sponge paintbrush that is slid into the 3/4-inch receptacle using instamorph. All three of these items can then be interchangeable into a T-joint, a 1/2-inch CPVC T-joint. The text on this picture says, remember to create the overflow mushroom. Also remember to keep the wire that touches the finger exposed for the stylus, because the person has to touch the metal part to convey or to complete the circuit for a stylus when using an iPhone or an iPad. There's a QR code on this image that says creating an adapted stylus using instamorph and a paper clip. The video is 4 minutes and 24 seconds. This image shows a person holding the adapted stylus in the palm of their hand. There is a paper clip that is secured to the end of the stylus using instamorph, and then the other end of the paper clip is pushed inside of the instamorph that is inside of the 3/4-inch piece of 1/2-inch CPVC pipe. There's a QR code on this image that says creating an adapted stylus, and the video is 4 minutes and 24 seconds. This image shows 5 clever cutters that are attached to a piece of 1/2-inch CPVC pipe that's about 12 inches long. The ends of the clever cutter is slid into the flutes on a piece of corrugated plastic. The text on this image says scoring jig made of instamorph and 1/2-inch CPVC pipe for making 5 corrugated plastic score lines using 5 clever cutters. Pull and slide the clever cutters at once to create 5 score lines in the corrugated plastic. So it is a scoring jig for holding 5 clever cutters and making 5 score lines all at once. This image shows an adapted spoon. The spoon is slid into a 4-inch piece of 1/2-inch CPVC pipe and secured with instamorph that's been inserted inside the pipe. At the end of the pipe is an end cap, and there's a QR code on here that says build up the handle of a spoon. It's a video that is 2 minutes and 31 seconds. There's an arrow pointing to a cup of water that says add 1 teaspoon of instamorph to the hot water, and then there's a plastic spoon sitting on the table. This image is showing a custom reacher for turning a light switch on. There's a woman sitting in a power wheelchair. Her hand is holding this reacher that is made out of 12-inch piece of 1/2-inch CPVC pipe. At the end of that pipe is instamorph that has an 8-inch piece of wire that has been folded in half with instamorph on the other end, which she is pressing against a rocker switch, and there is non-slip cat tongue tape that's been added to the rocker switch to provide some resistance so that when she pushes the light switch, it won't slide across the rocker switch. And she's able to turn her lights on and off using this extended reacher made with the instamorph green wire and PVC pipe. This next image shows the materials needed to make an adapted mouse stick for typing on your phone. There's a QR code on this image that leads to a video that's 4 minutes called Making an Adapted Stylus. There is a picture of a microfiber tip and a QR code that leads to where to find the microfiber tip. There is a pair of needle nose pliers resting on the table, and there's a picture of a bag of instamorph sitting on top of the table and a thin piece of wire. This next image shows the mouse stick that was made for this gentleman using those materials in the prior image. The mouse stick is in his mouth. It's about 6 inches long. He is typing on his cell phone that's mounted on a raised platform about 8 inches away from his chin. There's a QR code on this image that says mouse stick with microfiber tip. The video is 34 seconds, and the text underneath it says add instamorph and embed the wire. And the wire is wrapped around the threads of the microfiber tip and embedded inside of the instamorph mouse stick, which is about only 1/4 of an inch in circumference. And the reason it's thin is so that he can see all of the letters. If it was too thick, it would cover up his visibility to see what he's typing and what he's editing on the iPhone. The iPhone is laying flat horizontally on a tray in front of him. There's also a computer mouse and a second mouse stick that's laying on this tray as well. This image is a boy that has grasping impairments. He's got his 2 hands. The instamorph is shaped around his index finger, middle finger, and thumb. And a stylus that's about 2 inches in length is attached to the instamorph. And he is drawing on an iPad. There's a QR code on this image that says demo 12-second video. And it says when his finger touches the exposed wire on the paper clip, the stylus is activated. Instamorph, a large paper clip, and 1/2-inch CPVC pipe T-joint, and a mini stylus is used to make this adaptation. The adaptation stylus is for somebody who experiences arthrogryposis. The image next to that is another person with arthrogryposis, and it says custom adapted stylus to fit the person's unique hand grip. And they are typing the text on an iPhone that is resting on a table. This image shows, it says what fits inside of 1/2-inch CPVC pipe T-joint, and it shows a paintbrush, a stylus, a clothespin, a spoon. It also has an image of 5 different sizes and types of clothespins that can fit inside of instamorph. And there is a QR code that leads to a video that says 4 things that fit in a T-joint. It's a video, 2 minutes and 36 seconds. And the materials needed for this project is 17-inch industrial twist ties, clothespins, and instamorph. The next image shows an adapted key that has about a 2-inch piece of instamorph shaped around the end of the key to grip onto. The key is slid into a key ring. The text on the image says making an adaptive key in under 1 minute using instamorph. The next image is an adaptive writing tool that is inserted into 3/4 inch piece of 1/2-inch CPVC pipe that is inserted into a 1/2-inch CPVC T-joint. And it says paper clip and piece of CPVC pipe allows for complete adjustability in all planes. 1 tablespoon of black instamorph is used to create and secure the pen that is attached to a large paper clip that is then slid into instamorph inside of a 3/4 inch piece of PVC pipe. This image is an adapted joystick controller on a wheelchair, and the inside cavity of the hand, this is for a high-level spinal cord injury, and so that it fits and contours to his unique grip of his hand when he slides it in to operate the joystick on his wheelchair. This is an adapted fidget item. The person is holding it in their hand. The item appears to be about 3 inches. It looks like it's a little corkscrew. It's made of instamorph, and it says making a stretchy corkscrew with instamorph, a fidget item. This image shows a person holding an adapted writing aid made of instamorph and a T-joint. There's a video that says that it's 3 minutes and 47 seconds, and it's titled, the QR code is titled Adapting a Writing Aid with Instamorph and PVC pipe, CPVC pipe. This image is a gentleman with Parkinson's who has an instamorph shelf that is created to wrap around the edge of a table and contour to his unique palm grip. And it says using a mini Eileen and a corner resting shelf made with instamorph to provide stability and function when using an iPhone for someone who has tremors. There's a QR code on this image, and it says corner resting shelf, and it's a 9-second video, and the iPhone is mounted at about a 45-degree angle inside of the Eileen. This is an image of a gentleman holding a stylus that has an instamorph ring around the center of the stylus, something for him to push against. The image next to that shows him with his hand facing down and resting on this instamorph donut around the stylus to interact with his cell phone. This image says adding a flashlight to a cane. The flashlight is positioned at 45 degrees, extending outward. It is attached to a command adhesive hook with instamorph, and the command adhesive hook is attached to the cane using a rubber band. There's a QR code leading to a video that says adding a flashlight to a cane. The video is 3 minutes and 32 seconds. The text underneath that says flashlight at a 45-degree angle to shine straight ahead. This image is titled a pill holder slider for individuals with tremors needing to take medication. The pill holder is made with instamorph attached to a tabletop mounting arm made of 3/4 inch lock line that extends approximately 12 inches above the table. It is attached, the pill holder has a receptacle that has 3 pills on it. This receptacle is about 3 inches long by about 1 inch wide. The person is using their hands to grab the upright arm that's made of 3/4 inch lock line and is pulling it into the person's mouth so that the pills will then slide down into their mouth so they don't have to grip one pill at a time to put in their mouth if they have tremors. The text on it with an arrow that says grip the mounting arm and pull forward, and the pills will slide into your mouth. This image shows a gentleman that has no use of his left hand, but is using his left forearm to support a tool holder. He's a maple producer, and he has to put these connectors on the end of tubes. Instamorph is used as an adapter to his tool so that he can do this with one hand to slide the pieces in place and then to squeeze the tool. It says a jig made out of Instamorph for holding the check valves that are inserted into the tube. The tube holder for tool handle and sliding, and made for one-handed use. This next image shows a cell phone mounting solution made of a rubber cell phone band, a 4-inch sliding bar clamp, quarter-inch lock line inserted into a 45-degree half-inch CPVC elbow, and slid into a half-inch CPVC winged elbow that has a flat surface. And then another one is an interface. There are 5 QR codes on this image that lead to the materials and the videos on how to make this easily assembled cell phone mount that can be clamped onto a table and used for scanning and reading. In this image, it is a 6-inch telescoping reacher made with Instamorph. There's a QR code on the image that leads to a video that is 7 minutes and 10 seconds. On top of this table is a container of black Instamorph, a ceramic mug with water in it, a spoon, and a 6-foot telescoping flagpole holder. And the video explains how to make a telescoping 6-foot reacher. And when it's completely collapsed, it looks like about 6 inches. This picture shows Instamorph that is shaped around a 12-inch bar clamp, and it's holding a communication device in front of a child about 18 inches away from their face. And it has the 6-inch piece of 3/4-inch lock line attached to a 90-degree elbow attached to a 3-inch by 3-inch fixed mounting square, which is attached to a bracket to hold a 13-inch iPad vertically in front of a child's face so they can use it for communicating. It has arrows pointing to the overlapping pieces of corner guard that are secured with VHB tape. This image shows a young girl sitting in a manual wheelchair, and she's pointing at the iPad at an angle to use her communication apps. The iPad is secured to a 3-inch by 3-inch mounting square using a Velcro interface. This lock line is then secured to a piece of Instamorph. The Instamorph is then slid over the bar clamp that is attached to the table. The text under the image reads, "Bar clamp can also be used to attach to the side of the table to extend the iPad mount outward. A removable Instamorph interface was added to prevent the rotation of the lock line. The 12-inch steel bar clamp prevents the lock line from bending. The correct position of the elbows keeps the iPad in the desired position." This next image is titled Instamorph Interfaces for Bar Clamps. There are 2 QR codes that take you to 2 how-to videos. One video is 1 minute and 43 seconds, and the other video is 2 minutes. There are there are 4 bar clamps of various sizes resting on the table, and there are 4 different interfaces made out of instamorph that is attached to either PVC pipe or lock line that then slide over the specific bar clamp sizes that are resting on the table. This image is titled Tools and Materials for Working with Instamorph. There is a device called Big Boss, and it says heats water in 10 seconds. There's a ceramic mug underneath the Big Boss. There are arrows pointing to made with liquid plastic. These are fidget items that are resting on the table. An arrow pointing to the fidget item made with PLA plastic using a 3D printer. There's an arrow pointing to a hot pot. Another fidget item made with instamorph. There's a spoon and a cardboard cup and a container of black instamorph and a bag of white instamorph. There is a bar clamp with instamorph, and there is a circular mount that slides back and forth on a piece of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. The insert is made out of instamorph attached to a 90-degree 3/4 inch lock line elbow that is attached to a 3-inch mounting disc. And there's a QR code that leads to a video that's 6 minutes and 17 seconds that says Introduction to Instamorph. The last image on this poster is a page from the book titled Make Stuff and Love People, Assistive Technology Solutions in Minutes, Book 3. And the title of the page from this book is titled Overview of Instamorph, and it has an image of all of the items previously described. And then on the bottom of that image shows instamorph that you can get in 4 different colors, and it says add colors to the instamorph. And then there's the 4 QR codes that take you to a link on where to find the instamorph and a video on how to work with the instamorph. And at the bottom of the poster it says University of New Hampshire Institute on Disability with the UNH Shield. 18H is funded under the provision of Administration for Community Living, ACL, through grant number 2401 NH ATSG.